sort this out. Handle you, Susan.
Okay.
Through the support and resources. Over to you.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Morning, everybody. Just going to start and give you a little bit of an overview of the learning resources and where we are at with the learning resources, because I know everybody's really sort of interested in that. Also, with your email that you got through, you should have had draft copies of the schemes of work. They should have come through to everybody. So if you haven't had a chance to print them off, we will talk about them. And I know Janet is going to talk about them later on in the session this afternoon as well. So just to give you a little bit of an overview of where we are at with the resources. The first bit is the scheme of work. As you can see, we've sent those over to you. These have been developed around a thematic approach, and they include all of the 12 elements of the qualifications. We've also referenced the core skills and also the competencies in English, maths and digital. And they are embedded into the scheme of work. And it's a very, very comprehensive scheme of work, as you can see. There's a lot of information in there and a lot of support for tutors in there. The draft copies are available today for yourselves. You know, feel free to have a look at them, give us some feedback on them as well, would be most welcome. What we do need to also advise you is we've still got them in draft because obviously we're waiting for final authorization of the qualifications, so we can't release them outside of draft until that's been authorized. I am still going to look at releasing the versions of them. I'm saying final version here in beginning of April, and if it's still that we haven't had authorizations for the qualification, then we will release them as draft in April, and then we will update them if necessary once the qualification has been authorised. So yourselves are getting them a little bit ahead of time, but everybody will be able to have these. And the scheme of work are free of charge to all centres. Just wanted to stress that there. From the scheme of works, we are then developing our blended learning resources. Now that's 180 sessions, 2 hour sessions, and they cover approximately 360 guided learning hours, which includes the employer set project within that as well. The sessions that we are developing have been developed using the scheme of work and the qualification specification. What I do need from you today, and we've got Q&A at the end, so I'd like, obviously we'll wait until the Q&A, is how you would like to have these resources. How would you like to host them? Because we have got a couple of options of how we would like to sort of present them to you. The blended learning resources and the sessions, they will be chargeable, they will be paid for resources. But there's different ways in which we can offer them to centres. One of the ways we're looking at is that we offer the full package of the 180 sessions, which you could then host on your own learner management systems, because we know every college has different learner management systems, and this might be an option for you, rather than the other option that we have, which is that we could host them and then we would license them and we would give access to your learners and give logins to your learners to access them. And at the end of this presentation, I'll go into costs around this, but I just wanted you to start thinking about, is it that your centre would like to host them on your own learner management system, or would it be that you would like us to be the administrator of that? So that's just something to think about as we go through. And my presentation has frozen. If you give me 2 seconds. Oh, there we go. Okay, so I'm going to hand you over to my colleague Jill, and Jill is going to just talk you through Platform 1 and Moodle and the sessions that we have developed. And we're just going to show you an example of one of the sessions that we have developed. As I say, we're hosting them now.
Can I just come in there? I'm having a note that Jill's having some technical difficulties. So if there's any chance you could give a tour of Moodle, or we could push that to the end of the session to see if Jill's been managed to get connected by then, that might be a good idea.
No problem. I'll just carry on going through, and then obviously if Jill can join us, that would be great. But I can carry on and show you the sessions as well.
Thanks, okay. Susan.
No probs. Okay, I'm hoping everybody can hear me all right, because I've had a little bit of difficulty with my headset this morning, so hopefully everybody can hear me okay. Just let me know if you can't. So what I'm going to do now is I'll go and I'm just going to access the Moodle program and platform, sorry, and I'll show you a little bit of the resources that we've been putting together. Before I do that, I'll just give you an idea of what the resources, sorry, there we go, okay. So each session pack or module that we've developed have their own classroom pack, which includes downloadable or digital resources. So it gives the tutors the flexibility to deliver these resources. Okay. Information and instructions are supplied to download and save the tutor resources with an option to access the zip folder or print in advance. And all of these classroom packs are included in our session packs together. Okay. Apologies. Okay. So as you can see, the session plans include interactive PDF activities, case studies, tutor guidance, home study activities, and an e-learning module within each one. So the e-learning module, the packs are very much designed to be a blended learning session, but you can use the e-learning module individually if you wanted to, and we're making them accessible. We've been working with an accessibility company to ensure that we have accessibility for everyone for these resources. So we're very much working towards that, and we would put a statement of accessibility out with the resources as well to understand which programs that they will work with as well. So I'm just going to go on to Moodle. If it will allow me to escape from my presentation. Nope. Sorry, there's just a little bit of delay on the presentation, so it's freezing a little bit. Oh, there we go. Oh, there you go. Sorry, it's a little bit of delay. It's a little bit behind. So what I'm just going to show you is just what the core resources will look like. So I'm just going to go into session 2. So if you had this on your own learner management system, you would have all of these resources packaged together, and they're what we call SCORM compliant, which means that they will go onto any LMS system, or you can have it hosted. And this is our own Moodle site here, and this is what we're using at the moment, but we would maybe do a few tweaks to this site if you were going to use it as your sort of resource. So what we will do is I'll just go into the actual module. So this is the sorry, tripping over my words there. This is the e-learning module that we have developed to go alongside theme 2. So each package will include, as I said, the session plan, and the session plan and the activities will run alongside this e-learning module. So as you can see on the e-learning module, we have first pages on every single one is the help page. So it just tells you what you can do within the module, the settings that we have, and the menu that you have as well. Each of the modules includes activity sheets. You'll have these separately, but they're also available to download on the e-learning module as well. So as I say, if you have students who are working independently, they can actually use this e-learning module and download the interactive activity sheets. So they don't necessarily have to be printed out. They are interactive, so they actually can fill them in, save them, and complete them online. Each module also has a menu, so you can follow through as the session plan follows through, or if you wanted to, for revision sessions, you can actually skip to different parts of the module, whichever you wanted to do and how you wanted to deliver your session. So the very sort of flexible modules, the session plans are all in Word. So you can actually do some adjustments to them as well if you felt like you wanted to add more activities in. So we've very much made everything a little bit flexible for you, so you can adjust them and adapt them to your style of teaching. And I know, you know, one of the questions before was one size doesn't fit all. And this is what we've tried to do with the resources. We've tried to, you know, structure them in a way that they follow the scheme of work, but you can then deliver them in whichever way you feel is best for you and for your centre. So if you look, all of them will start off with starter activity, all of them start off with what you will learn. So it gives you, by the end of the session, you must be able to, and it gives you your learning objectives within there. And it also gives your extension activities as well. Your starter activity, this is just, it can be done as a step one in your group, or you could do it as a whole class. So the activities are structured. So if you've just got a small group of students, you could use it in this way. If you've got a large group of students, then you can use this activity, the activity in this way. It also has feedback within there as well. And feedback is discussed whether you're surprised by the total number and range of settings attended by the whole class. So it's just to prompt. So again, if you weren't using this in a classroom setting, or you were just using it on a one-to-one, it gives the student that prompt. At any point, I can flip through the menu and go on to different activities. And if you go on to this one, say about maintain schools, if you click under the maintain schools, how are they different from each other? This then, if you click on each one, it will tell you why they are different from each other, and it will give you that instructions. It will then take you through, we could look at independent schools, and there's little icons all the way through, a little bit round, and just saying, you'll see our idea and how it links in with the different learning. Takes you through faith schools, academies, free schools and grammar schools. It then will then take you to an activity. So you've also got the knowledge, and then you go on to the activity. As I say, all of this is linked to your session plans. So you could run it alongside your session plans, or you could just use parts of the module if you wanted to, and add your own resources if you wanted to increase what the knowledge, or to suit, as I say, your centre and your type of delivery. So that is the e-learning modules. As I say, we can also, when you look at the activities, there's your session plan, there's your activity PDF, and we also have included home study PDFs as well. So home study extension activities that learners can actually do at home, and it extends obviously learning from the day, which is part of the curriculum. As Paul mentioned earlier, we do host in Moodle as well the MyT e-learning module, and this is something I've developed with Rachel, and had some really fantastic input from Rachel, which is what is a T-level? So this module is really for teachers, and I'll just give you a very brief overview of it, but we can make it available to teachers. So if you're a Wave 1 centre, if you're a Wave 2 centre, you know, it's understanding how the T-levels work and the structure of them, and it gives you the knowledge around the T-levels as well. I'm just going to take you back right to the beginning of this one. So if you come in as a teacher, and you can use this, as I say, Wave 2 providers might find this quite a good tool for new teachers coming in, and Wave 1 for any new teachers coming in, because it really does identify, as it says, the structure of T-levels. And the assessment requirements, and where T-levels came from, and the pathways and the timelines. So we can make this available for you if you wanted that, and again, it's free of charge, and we can give you access to our Moodle site and a login for you to actually work your way through this what is a T-level module. The module really just goes into, gives you some knowledge information around where T-levels came from, the Sainsbury review, and what happened from that. The technical education reform, the panel and the recommendations that came from that as well, and the timeline around that. And all of this is the different knowledge around the T-levels. It then gives you some activities that you have to do. Now, I have filled this one in already, okay, and it has done, well done, I got that correct, which is, thank goodness for that. But what this exercise is a drag and drop exercise where you can drag in here and you can say, well, is it technical T-level or is it an academic? And it just consolidates the knowledge going through the module. Again, we have the government video on T-levels, and that again gives you further understanding about T-levels. And then we would move into another activity after that, which then checks your knowledge around that. So throughout this module, it's around teaching you the knowledge around T-levels and the background to T-levels. And also it can also consolidate that knowledge for you as well. So like this here is a drag and drop exercise. So you can take one of these options, new to your technical education course at level 3, starting in September, and drop that in 2020. And we can drop in all of these options into here. And again, as I say, it's consolidating your knowledge. This is available to everyone, as I've said before, for free. If you would want to have the option to have access to this at the end of the session, if you want to just let me know, and we will then give you access to our Moodle platform and you will be able to use this with your colleagues in the centres. So that is what is a T-level, and that is our e-learning modules and our session plans as well. I can see Jill has come back onto the platform. So I'm going to take you back into, and she can then take you through the MyT platforms that we have available as well. Jill, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me all right?
We can, yes.
Oh, that's lovely. Yes, apologies, a little bit of technical problems here. So yes, so what we've also developed, as Susan says, is the MyT platforms. So within the MyT platforms, we actually have 5 individual platforms that we've designed and developed to help with implementing not only the T-levels, but just general curriculum and planning in itself. So what I'll do, I'll explain each of the platforms and what they can do, and at the same time, at the end of this, we're going to have a little look at Go Career, which is the industry platform tracking system and career platform. So if we start first of all on the next slide.
There is a slight delay, Jill, so
is that
give
right?
it a moment. Yeah.
Has that come up to anybody? I've still got the original slide.
Yep.
Mine hasn't moved on yet.
No, it's there seems to be a little bit of a delay in the platform. Apologies, everybody. Just try and start again. There you go, Jill.
Okay, thank you, Susan. So as you've already seen, you've had a look at our Platform 1 Moodle. So that's an e-learning platform, and what we've developed inside there is the content to engage with blended learning. And as well as the core content that you've just had a little look at, we've also got the ancillary skills. Now, we have been running this with some of the centres across England. We've had a couple of pilots going on, and the ancillary skills has been rolled out to some of those centres. So feedback from the centres that have actually used the ancillary skills is very positive. Again, depending on the resources that you've got at your centres, these are something that is developed in the same way as what you've just seen on the content, on the core content. So everything has a session plan, it's got your PowerPoint presentation, it's got your activities. So the classroom packs are designed in exactly the same way, and again housed within Platform 1 Moodle, and then that can be accessed either with yourselves and with your students as well. So it's going to incorporate that that inclusion and that blended learning way, as well as being delivered within standalone sessions, depending on your student needs and the IT facilities that you have. So that's what we've developed within there. And the ancillary skills is including the PSHE, the employability, the study skills, progression skills and digital skills. So within that, and each session is 2 guided learning hours. So you've got quite a comprehensive sessions within there. Peer Tutor is something that we've newly just launched. This is, again, another secure online platform, and it's an app. And this is really good because it allows verified mentors to deliver lesson content that's created by expert teachers. So what it does is that if learners are particularly struggling with a particular question or query, they can pose that question. At the moment, it's driven around maths, English and GCSE. So anyone that's struggling with any particular question around maths or English, they can pose that question to the platform, and then that platform then matches them up with a specific mentor that can help them guide through that question. So there's 2 ways of working it. It can either be a guided lesson that they pay for, or alternatively it could just be peer-to-peer tutor support, which will help them in the same sort of way. And the way that it works is that you sign up for credits, if you like. So there's no actual cash handing over. It's like a credit system, and you sign up from that through your centre. So feedback on this is again becoming very positive. It's something that students are using, and the succession rates of that is being really positive at the moment. So again, and I think one of the positive things on that is that it gives enrichment opportunity for advanced learners. So anybody that's wanting to pose that question that little bit higher, then that facility is there for them to do that. So that's peer tutor.
It could also, just coming in there, Jill, it can also, when we talked about the transition programme earlier this morning, it could potentially support learners within that programme who are working towards their level 2 in maths and English as well. So it's something that can sit across both T-levels and the transition programme.
Yeah. That's...
Okay. Okay.
So then we've got Skills Forward. Skills Forward is a digital learning programme, and within there's your diagnostic tools and your e-learning resources to support the delivery and assessment. Again, in maths and English, and your functional skills, digital skills, study skills, and employability. So at the moment, the study skills are still being developed, so we're hoping to get that launched soon as well, and that's going to be again a diagnostic platform to see about the skills that are currently already there, and to be able to progress your learners. So it'll be on like a time map, so you'll be able to see where they are now and as a progression going through the time that you're with you, and any additional resources that they might need to be able to support them in that way, that will be identified within the study skills. We've already got the employability skills sitting there as well, so that will be working in the same sort of way. It'll give a starting point, the employability starting point of each of your students, where they are now, what milestones they need to reach, what additional support that they need, or additional learning resources that they need to be able to progress through their timeline and be able to achieve the employability skills and study skills that they need. So again, all the resources that you would need would be housed within that platform as well. So everything is there for you, kind of like coming as a one-stop shop with regards to your study skills and your employability. Cash Alumni, some of you may well have heard of Cash Alumni. We've had quite a few interests in this. At the moment, the online membership is growing on a daily basis. This is an award-winning professional membership, and it's dedicated to support those entering and working in the cash sector. So it's not just for your teachers and your teaching staff, but also for your students as well. So anyone coming on to any of your programs, not just the T-levels, but any of your other learning programs around education and childcare, get them to sign up to this, because the resources that are in here will help them think about their CPD. It'll help them think about progressing on and what I need to further my career. And the benefits are there are really important and really good. So it's going to help you stay up to date with the best practice. Like I've mentioned before, the CPD, and there's a careers information and progression side of that as well. So you're able to see where your career going to go for, what sort of jobs are in the industry there, what sort of skills that I need to do as well. And it's also raising the profile of the caring roles. So it's supporting best practice and career progression. And the benefits there are really positive. So again, we've had this out onto pilot as well, and throughout the pilots, we're getting good feedback on this. We've got a lot of students now enrolling, as well as practitioners. So we're starting to see those starting off with their careers and starting to enroll onto Cash Alumni, and realizing how important it is to keep this lifelong learning going, and to start it from an early stage. So again, it's something that you can build in, certainly with your entry students and anyone starting onto your courses. So as part of your induction process, you can certainly introduce your students to that as well. I'll just flip to the next slide. Have we got a bit of a delay?
Yep, there we go.
There we go. Okay then, and then we've got Go Career. So Go Career, we're just in the final stages of getting this launched. So we're hoping to have this launched by the end of March. And as it is, it's a career guidance and work placement management tool. So again, we've had this on pilot with a few centres, and feedback from this is extremely positive. It's developed in both a web platform as well as a mobile app platform as well. So you've got the versatility of being able to take it out with you. So if you're a work placement tutor, then you can take the app with you when you go into placements to see both your students and your employers, and that will give you up-to-date information, and you'll be able to do work within the app that's on the phone. Alternatively, you can do the same sorts of functions within the web place platform, should you wish to do everything on a platform rather than the phone. So it's got that flexibility of both being delivered. So the benefits of it is that it's a career information and diagnostic and job profile. So again, it's giving you that career insight, helping you plan for students' careers, their progressions, where they're wanting to go next. So when they're finished on your course, you can think about, right, well, how do I get into next stages, university? What is it that I need to get a job? What sort of jobs are available for me? And all that's housed within the app as well. The careers guidance and the diagnostics, that's something that's available already within the sector, within the employability sector, and that's available for young people under the age of 16 as well, especially when they're starting to think about where they're going to go next as well. So certainly can help with job profiles and thinking about like a career progression, and where do I go next. The location tracking and push notifications, it keeps you up to date with your students. You can send through notifications with regards to particular incidents that take place, and at the same time, everything that's done through the system, it triggers an instant notification, so you know when a career plan's been updated, you'll know as to whether or not a profile's been accepted. And at the same time as well, when you're tracking through references and reviews, you can see the employer input into that as well. I've mentioned before about the progression pathways that is mapped within the app. And it also does learner placement matching. So all the placements that you've got on board, it'll actually match the learner to those placements based on the skills that are identified. So looking within the education and childcare, if you've got particular roles or particular skills identified there, then the system will match your learner to the most appropriate placement based on those skills. Placement tracking, I think, is one of the important things. This is robust tracking and it's in real time as well. So you get an instant view of how many hours your students have done. Even if they've gone over 2 placements, it can be accumulative. So you can see straight away as to whether or not they're on target for their industry placement hours. I've mentioned it's also a mobile app and a desktop platform as well. And the important bit is that it's an audit trail, it's a robust audit trail. It tracks the IP addresses, so you actually know that the students are where they're supposed to be, and at the same time it actually stamps that in a digital way so that record is robust and you know that it's authenticated as well. There's also a digital application process. So when you've got your students ready to go out into placement, that will create the information that's on the student profile will then drill down to create the application process, the application, and that then gets sent through to the employer. So once you've got everything linked up, then the application gets sent through electronically. So again, that saves you having to send any personal details on a different format, perhaps in the post or through email, encrypted email, or however you would normally send learner details. This is all done within the platform in a secure and robust way as well. So I think that's one of the most important bits as well. So gone are the days where you have to either hand in a CV if you're putting a learner out into placement, or to send that information some other secure way. This way that the system will generate that for you. And all the placements that you work with are just linked to your specific centre. So this isn't a shared database or anything like that. It's everything that is just within your particular centre. So your employers will be linked to you, and your placement opportunities are linked to you as well, and they're not shared out to the wider world. Everything is just contained into yourself. So what we're going to have a quick look at, the next screen is going to show you what the learner profile looks like. Now, what I've said to you before is the learner profile sits on an app. So that's quite difficult to demonstrate to you real time how the app works. But it's very clear and it's very straightforward. So the screenshots that you're seeing here, to first of all get your students registered, it's as easy as getting them to download the app either from Google Play or from the App Store, depending on what phone they've got. And they would click in to student register, and then they would put in their email addresses and they would create a profile, a password, and then it's as easy as that. There's no verification needed at this stage. Then within the next screenshot, you'll see once they've created their profile, and once you've linked them to a placement, you have to create them onto the course that you're running as well. So the particular course that you're running, we generate the course codes that will be specific to your centre. So if you're a teacher and you're teaching the BTEC, you're teaching a diploma in education and childcare, that would have a specific number that we would generate ready for you, and that particular number is specific to your centre as well. So you're giving that out to your students, and that then's how they then link themselves to your course. So it's a bit like a tree effect. You need to have the course code that then links the tutor to the course, and at the same time that then links your students to the course as well. So we've got Neil there, and he's already registered, so he's got himself a placement, and it says here as well that he's currently on placement and whereabouts he is. Now you can see a blue bar there. So once the student's been accepted onto placement, this blue bar sits on the app. So all they need to do is just log into the app. They see first of all their profile, and then they'll see the start session placement, and it's as easy as that. All they have to do is tap that blue bar, and then they get a good morning or a good afternoon, either a check-in or a check-out message, depending on what it is that they're doing. And it's as easy as that. They click that and their phones then go away. They don't have to do anything else with it. That time is then registering. And then at the end of the day, they would get their phone back out, go back into the app, and then it would then end the session. And then you could see on the far right hand side the total hours. So you can see the hours that have been done throughout the day or throughout the week. So at the moment, Neil's up to 72 hours, 16 minutes and 1 session. You might see underneath about an approval. So the times can be approved by either the placement, the employer, or the tutor. So it'll say as to who's approved it by. So this last one approved by Graham Thompson was the employer. So the employer can go in and verify those hours, or alternatively, you as the tutor can go in and verify those hours. There's also a facility to being able to amend those hours, modify them if need be. Again, students, it's possible that either their phones might die, battery might run out, or alternatively, they just forget to actually log themselves in. So again, you've got that facility of when their hours are through, you can modify them. And again, it's stamped on that form that you've modified them. And there's a reason box so that you could actually justify why you're modifying those hours and the reasons why. So this is as an example of what a placement might look like. So again, there's placements there. It's quite clear how long the placement's lasting for, who it is, and a little overview of about what it is that this placement's about. Are you the type of person looking for? It's a bit like a little job advert in a way. And at the same time, it's got the location of where this particular placement is. And by clicking on the blue button at the bottom to get the directions, what this then does, it brings up Google Maps. So it actually has the specific location based on the learner's home address. So they can then plot their travel routes based on the information that's put in there. So you can see from this one straight away, it says it's 1.78 miles away from where the learner is. And then it'll bring up Google Maps. They can then decide as to whether or not they want to travel by public transport, by walking, or by car, and it'll plot that map exactly the same as Google Maps has done. So in this particular one, it's showing you that you've got a little bit of a walk, a bit of a bus, a bit of a metro, and a walk again to being able to get to your placement as well. And it also gives you the time issues. So having that travel plan within there is really important as well, because not only that, it'll take it from the student's location, which is their IP address, but ultimately if they decide to stay over at someone's friend's house that could be 5 miles, an extra 5 miles away from their placement, they've then got the option of being able to rejig that travel plan, and then they'll know which buses they can get to. So we've tried to think of as many different ways of overcoming any travel issues that students might have. So I think that's a really robust feature of Go Career as well. I mentioned at the beginning there was the careers planning. So again, this sits within their profile. This particular feature, you can decide as to whether or not you want to show the learners or not. So it can be switched on or off. So it could be something that you might want to introduce towards the end of their course, especially if you're thinking about jobs and future progressions, etc. So it's all broken down into the areas. So if we have a look at the education and childcare, it's then broken down into these particular areas which are relevant to your industry specific. And then as you click on each one, so for example, we've then looked at a play worker, then gives you a little overview of what a play worker is, what the average salary is, and then you'll see that there's courses available there and there's jobs available there as well. So you could have that set on the settings that if you didn't want to show the courses, because obviously that will then come up with other courses in your area. However, you want to do a little bit around job search, and this is the kind of like jobs that are available, then you can switch that off and you can just see the job side of things. So again, it's really good for progression and for thinking about getting them prepared either into the world of work or into higher education. So now we'll have that was the overview of what the Student Mobile looks like, and then I've mentioned before that there's a platform. Now what I have to say about this platform, this is a live system, but what we've put inside is demonstration material. So what you're going to see is actually what you would see if you were registered with your own centre. But the students and the employers that we've put in are all fictional and made up. So as a centre admin, you would have control over your home screen. This is where you put the information about your centre, and also you have your location there as well. So this again is based on Google Maps, so you can set where your centre is based at, and an overview about what your centre can deliver, because again this can be viewed by your employers as well, so it just gives an overview of what you're about and whereabouts you're located. So then on the left hand side, you've then got your menu options. So then if we go into courses, I mentioned before about the course ID. So this would be an example of the courses that you run. So this is taken from your ESFA submission that you do. So we pull together all that information of the courses that you run, and then we'll generically create course codes that are specific for your centre. So you'll see this is an example of the courses that we do. So if we click in the first one, the health and social care, we know that we've got 2 students on there, and straight away we can see there's the tutor there as Chris Tubritt, he's the tutor, and I've got 2 students on this course. So if I have a look in Paul's profile, that takes me straight to the student Paul. So if I wanted to get in touch with him quickly, I can see straight away there's his home contact number, what his email address is, I've got access to his date of birth, and so if I needed to get in touch with him for whatever reason, then you can drill down and you can get that information. If we go back up to the top, the important bit here is, again, we can see the placements here. So straight away I know that Paul is on placements with Birchwood Care System services, and again straight away I can see the amount of hours that he's got clocked. So if I was monitoring his hours, I can see straight away that he's done 75 hours and 44 minutes, and that'll be exactly the same that's also on Paul's view that we've seen just before with regard to his hours as well. So there's a quick way of being able to find your students and to drill down into that information that you need. If we quickly click into the employers on the left hand side, all your employers are sitting there. Really easy to invite your employers on board. You've got a blue button in the top right hand corner that says add new employer. By clicking on that, it's just an email address that you would put in. That email is then sent through to the employer, so they can either verify themselves to set themselves up, or alternatively you as a tutor are able to set up employers now as well. So again, if we just want to click into an employer, it just gives you an overview of who they are, where they're based at. So their location is also based on Google Maps. So if you're starting to think about where my employers are, whereabouts I can start putting my students out, whereabouts they live, you've got an idea roughly of being able to identify how I can match students to employers based on the location of where they are. And again, it gives you an overview of what that employer is about and what sort of role that they could offer, what sort of industry that they're in as well. If I click into tutors, I'll be able to see all my tutors that currently are on with me as well, and the courses that they're responsible for. It's just taking a little bit of a think about it. Here we go. So again, so I've got my 5 tutors there. And if I go into Chris, for example, if I click onto Chris's name, that tells me that he's responsible for delivering the health and social care qualification. And if I click into his profile, I'll be able to identify again the last time he used the system, what he's responsible for, and his contact details as well. So if I needed to get a hold of him. What I have to say is the centre admin view is very similar to a tutor view. So if you were a tutor, your views will be exactly the same as well. These menus on the left hand side are the same as what they would see. I just want to show you placements quickly. If we can go down to placements. So once you've got your employer, you can then create a placement. Just give this a second to catch up. You might need to go into the filter.
There you go.
That's it. Yeah, we're away now. So again, these are all the placements that are available. So when you're creating your placement, either yourself or your employer can create that, and then we put as much information in there as possible. And that's what then goes forward when we had a look at the screenshot on the mobile phone. This is what the student would then see. So if you click into one, like I say, we've got a breakdown of how long the placement's going to last for. At the moment, it's got a description. It's telling you this. So this is what the placement's looking for. This is the skills that we're after. Are you that type of person that you can come and work for us? And again, it's got the location, because what you might find is that your employer is based in, say, for example, Newcastle upon Tyne, but the placement might be based in Sunderland. So you've again got that specific location there. So we can see now that we've got an active student on there. So if we click into Ellen at that point, will that take us? This takes us to Ellen's profile here. So we know that she's on this placement. So these are the hours here that I've mentioned before. So at the moment, Ellen's up to 110 hours. So she's got a batch of hours that need to be modified or approved. So as the tutor, I've got the facility to either modify that if she forgot to log out, or alternatively, I can approve it. So if I wanted to change that, I could click into, say, the start time. So maybe she forgot to log in. I can change that time, or alternative, if she was going to log out, and then I can type my reason into that box, and I can save and approve that, and that will adjust that time. So if she's forgotten to either log in or forgotten to log out, once you've got that specific verified, you can go in there and amend that record. So then if we close that, you'll also see there's a
Sorry, just to add to that, Jill, it's just we added in the modify option because of the whole reason if students' phones may go out of charge or they forget to do it. But within that modify option, you do have to put a reason as to why you've modified it. So then it's more robust for audit purposes. So, it's not just then a case of somebody can just go in and alter the hours. They have to give a reason as to why those hours were altered and why an adjustment was made.
Yeah, that's the important bit as well, because obviously you've got information that's tracked through, and we want to make it as robust as possible. And so by adding those comments in, you're verifying why you've changed those hours. And then the last bit, which is really good, this is the reports. So if we click into the report side, so the first report that you'll see, these are all the students that are linked to courses. I'll just take a couple of seconds to load up. There's quite a bit of data there. There we go. So we can see our students, we can see the courses that they're on, we can see the tutor that is teaching them, and then across the right-hand side, again, we've got that snapshot straight away of how many hours Paul and Emma and Ellen have done. So we can keep a track specifically on the hours that they've done. So making everybody's life that little bit easier. If we click into time recorded by students, this gives you a breakdown against the employer and the placement. and then more so specifically. So you're now being able to see who's coming in and who's going out. So we've got Learning for Life Daycare and we've got Amy there. So there's the movement that Amy's done. Now I just want to show you, so you've got your sign-in time. So she came into placement on the 13th, 8:31, and then she left placement on the same day at 3:07. Now the sign-in distance and the sign-out distance, this is what's going to be really important. Now it does show that it's 15 miles from her placement, but that's taken from the IP address. So at the moment, because this is on demonstration, we are signing all these students in and out from our location, which is actually 15 miles away from where the placement has been created at. So by doing it that way, when you're doing this with your students, you should see your sign-in distance being no more than 0.3 of a mile, really, because otherwise you now know that they're going to be signing in whilst perhaps they're still travelling on the bus, and that will actually track their sign-in date stamp from the actual place that they are when they click their blue check-in button. So I know that our distances are recorded like this, but your distances, because you're actually using live people that are actually going to those placements, these sign-in distance, like I say, will be no more than 0.3 or wherever they happen to be when they're checking in. So it's another way of making sure that they're actually at placement and they've actually arrived at placement, rather than checking themselves in whilst they're still maybe a mile away or they're still on the bus. So I think that's really good for audit purposes as well. And then we've got the usage statistics. So this shows you where your placements are. If we just click out of the check-ins for just now, and then we'll just show the green drop downs. We might need to expand the screen slightly. So what this will show you, this shows you again the scattering of where your placements are all at. So the red button in the middle represents your centre, and then you've got an idea of whereabouts your greens are scattered over your geographical area. There's another 2 hidden round there. So if we click into that number 2 there, it should make that a little bit bigger. Yeah, so they're scattered around, so you've got a little bit more of an idea of when you're starting to look for how to put out my students out onto placement. So you've got an idea of whereabouts your employers and your placements are scattered based on where your centre is, and then you can do some travel mapping against your students' locations as well. And when they're at check-in, when they're at placement, if we click to show check-in, anybody that was on a placement and checked in, then you will have a blue button next to that green one. So if you've got a placement across at Sunderland, then next to that, if the student has checked themselves in, there should be a blue dot that would appear next to that green check-in button there. So again, you can straight away have a snapshot to see who's at placement and who's not at placement. So that was that report. And then if we look at the last one, which I think was about the statistics, placement, I think it's placement statistics.
Yeah.
Yeah, lovely. So this will help you an awful lot with your planning as well. So if you think about it, you've got all your placements. You could have 30 or 40 placements. You could have 20 to 30 students. So straight away, this gives you a snapshot of what I've got available, who's where, and how many students I've currently got out and how many places are available. Because when you're setting your placement up, you're setting it up with a start and an end date and how many places are available. And then once you've put a student in, that'll automatically feed through to this one. So if we have a look at the first line here is the play worker. We had 2 places available, but we've currently got 1 student out there, which means I've got a place available. So if I've got another student that's come on board to my course, then I can straight away look down to see what places I've got available there. And at the top of that screen, it's also got a little more of a breakdown about how many places are available, how many students I've got out as well. So when you're reporting this back, you know, for anybody that comes in for audit purposes, or for illustration about the employers that you're working with as well, how many placements you've offered in this past year, all this will be able to be drilled down from here as well. So if you're providing that information, that it's contained there as well. So you can see a snapshot of how many employers you've worked with, how many placements have been provided, how many people have taken up those placements, and how many students you've worked with. So it's a really good, robust reporting tool that will make your life easier when you're thinking about putting students out onto placements and monitoring them and monitoring their time, which is the important part of it as well. So that's the reports overall as well. So that gives you an overall look of Go Career. Like I say, we've had this out onto pilots. The feedback that we've had from the centres has been really positive. And that's come from both students who have found it very easy to use. They've used it on their app, very easy for them to check in and check out. I think they quite liked having that control as well. And at the same time, positive feedback from the employers as well. They like to be able to be involved in that as well. So again, they can have their desktop set up as well, so that they can create their own placement opportunities. So it's involving that employer buy-in as well. So it's encouraging your employers to take on board as well the placement opportunities and bringing them on board. So that's I'll hand you back over to Susan, and then she'll finish off the rest of the couple of slides that we've got. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thanks, Jill, for that demonstration. Apologies for the delay in the PowerPoint working there. It was a little bit it's having a little bit delay behind there. So just to round up what we've been talking about, just to let you know, this, as I've already said, the scheme of work is free of charge, and you've got it now, but we will be making it available to all of the Wave 1 providers in April. The ancillary and the core blended learning resources, as I've asked before, and obviously now is the time when I'm going to ask you some questions and I need some feedback from you, is the sessions could be accessed through our Moodle site or your own LMS system. So all the packs are what we call SCORM compliant, so they will sit on a learner management system. But what I need an understanding from centres is, how would you like to purchase them? Would you like both ways of purchasing them? Would you just like one way of purchasing them? I will give you some costs. Now, these are very much approximate costs. I have checked with my head of department, and I can advise you the cost, but again, we are still waiting for a little bit of feedback on these. So the approximate cost for, if you hosted the blended learning resources, and that's all the 180 sessions, the 360 guided learning hours, then the total cost would be £800. And that's for all of the core resources. But that would be the centre hosting themselves on their own learner management system. If you wanted to host it on our system, wanted to use our Moodle site, which is available as well, the cost would be £10 per learner. We would do all of the administration of the site, and we would give you the learners access to the site and logins to the site for the length of the time that they're on that course. So that is the two options for the core blended learning resources. The ancillary skills, we haven't put a cost on those as yet, but I will come back to you with those. But that is, the £800 is specifically for the core blended learning resources. The MyT platform, again, this is an approximate cost, and we're working with centres who have piloted this. We're going to go back to centres who have piloted this for us, and also, you know, to get feedback from yourselves, is there's going to be a fixed price of £4 per user, per learner. So that is to use the full platform, because just to reiterate, the actual app itself is free. So any learner can access that app and start building their career profile. They can use the career guidance option to be able to look at what courses are available in their area or what jobs are available in their area. So, you know, when we're talking before around the transition programme, again, it would be something that you could potentially look at to introduce to learners on the transition programme to help them to decide which courses they're going to move on to. But once the purchase part of it is when you use the placement side of it. So everybody can download the app, and then to link it to your colleges and to the centres, as Jill has said, you would be given your course codes, and that would be the paid element of the app. So that's when it comes in that it would be £4 per user. And obviously we would have support from our customer services team around using Go Career as well. So I know I've had lots of obviously webinars, and at that point I wasn't able to give you the costs, but these are, and again I'll stress, the approximate costs, and we will be sending out when we launch Go Career at the beginning of April, and when the learning resources come out, then we will be given the actual full cost of that. But it's just to get some feedback from centres now on the costs on the of the qualifications. Okay, sorry, not the qualifications, the resources. Okay, so this is the point where you can ask us any questions about resources. Hopefully we've covered everything for you, but we're open now to questions.
Thanks very much, Susan. I'm just seeing that we're a bit over time.
All right,
so because we need to stick quite rigidly to the times, and I want to allow enough time for lunch, I would encourage, if there are any questions yet to come in that we haven't had in, if you can get those in now, and what we'll do is get back to people independently with any answers to those questions, if that sounds all right.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine.
Lovely. Well, thank you very much, both Susan and Jill, for all of the demos. There's certainly a lot of resources to take in. I'm seeing that I don't think there are any questions coming in, so I will close the meeting now and see everybody after lunch. Before I let you go, I'll just give you a quick refresher of the agenda. So we'll be expecting everyone to come back at Q1 for core delivery and assessment. So I'll leave it there. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks, Rachel.
Thanks, Susan. Thanks.